Hi there, Internet. My name is Alex, and I research culture and media and how they interact. But today I want to talk about Andor because if I bring it up again with my family, they may never speak to me again.
Welcome to the rebellion.
I loved Andor. It was spectacular. Season 2 was just phenomenal. Everything about it made me so happy. An absolute masterpiece of Star Wars filmmaking and is the reason that Star Wars exists, in my opinion. It is the kind of storytelling that really makes the Star Wars universe what it is. I really loved the first episode wherein Andor is stealing this TIE interceptor prototype and can't drive it at all. I loved that moment. It felt so very Clone Wars. And it was just push the button, see what makes it work. And I think it was really interesting to have that quick and dirty shoot your way out using way significantly overpowered machinery because I can't open the door. So let's just blast through it. I think that's perfectly Star Wars. I mean, he didn't have a lightsaber to cut awkwardly through it. He had a TIE fighter. So I thought it was great. Um, and the fact that he continues to not be able to drive it, I think that lends credence to why this version of the TIE Interceptor never got put into production, but also it adds to the chaos and confusion later on while he's on that weird planet with Maya Pei's crew. I loved looking at the infighting of the various chaotic rebel cells before they become the rebellion. They're just revolutionaries, and some of them are more straightforwardly revolutionary than others. Some are just breaking things, including themselves. And I really liked how it went into that. And Andor really looked at what it takes to recruit a rebellion, how that process happens, with the slow rising tension of the chaos that the Empire engenders, and how control is never actually the security that it promises to be. And Cassian has a really good storyline of explaining what makes Cassian a leader and why he is good at running a rebellion and why some of the other cells in the rebel circle aren't quite as good. Everything about the Chandrila arc was amazing. Mon Mothma and her daughter and Perrin and all of the complexity and social politicking and financial politicking that goes into the decisions behind Mon Mothma's place in the rebellion and how she gets there, how she gets walked right up to the precipice. All of that is absolutely spectacular. I truly, truly loved everything about it. Nothing that happened in the show is something that I have a real complaint about. Like, literally, all of it is just fabulous, except for one thing: the end of Cyril Karn's story. Cyril Karn is spectacular. I love him to pieces. He is an idiot. He is overzealous. He is so problematic. And he is the definition of the problem in a lot of the Imperial situation. He believes in the Empire. He really, truly thinks that security is established with rules and control and no exceptions and everybody following the very strictest guidelines and fitting into the little boxes that they're supposed to. He believes in that with everything he is. And we've seen that not work out for most people over the course of the entire Star Wars extended universe. But the part that makes Cyril Karn so specifically interesting is that Cassian Andor ruins this man's life twice. And Cyril notices that and recognizes it and sees the exact moment of Andor destroyed everything about my safe, secure little future, and I'm going to now kill him for it. And he goes for it. Anger is motivating. Like, he's a twig, man, but he can take on Cassian Andor for like 30 whole seconds because anger. And there's a moment right at the end of this fight where Karn is confronting Cassian and is absolutely just going to destroy this man who has ruined his life. And Cassian has no idea who Cyril is at all. He just no concept of who this weird guy who wants to kill him very specifically even is. And Cyril gets thrown, like he is thrown for a loop. He never conceived of the fact that it wasn't personal, that it wasn't Cassian Andor trying explicitly to destroy Cyril Karn for some reason. This was not about Cyril in any way. It was about the Empire and Cassian doing things that ended up ruining Cyril's life for the same reason that Cyril was doing his own things to protect as many people as he could, to have that good, reasonable pursuit of personal happiness, that ability to be who you are supposed to be, is what ruined Cyril's life when Cassian did it. And there's a moment where Cyril recognizes that Cassian has no idea who he is and lowers his gun. He pauses. There's a good long moment of something could change here. And then he gets shot and he's just dead. And that's it. And it's like, and I get that a lot of people, I mean, Cyril Karn's whole storyline is revolving directly around this concept of wasted potential. And his dying, as he did, simply played into that, but still, he could have been so much more. Cyril has just recognized that the Empire is playing against itself, that the Empire isn't protecting its citizens, that the Empire is the reason that Gorman blew up, essentially. And he could now have something else to latch onto and get a real redemption arc going, because we don't have nearly enough of them. And Star Wars has this whole potential of like coming home to the rebellion and coming home to yourself and being a part of something for the greater good, no matter where you started. And we don't really have too many legitimate believer bad guys become good guys. Like one of my favorite characters of all time is Ventress from the Clone Wars series. She is unhappy at the best of times. She is very mean and pretty much single-handedly ruins most of the like save the Republic arcs presented in Clone Wars. She's great for that. Her whole deal was pretty much that the Republic had failed her, so she's going to break it. And she systematically does so. She also comes to a point where she can recognize that no matter how much she's been personally failed and how much she's been personally hurt by these systems, breaking those systems doesn't fix any of it. And being the bad guy doesn't help her. She helps Ahsoka Tano in the end. She falls in love with Quinlan Vos and is a quintessential part for getting him back to the light side of the Force. It's a part of the true believer ideals from being a bad guy to being a not really bad guy. And we just don't have nearly enough of that. Even from our sequel series, Finn, his whole existence as a stormtrooper explains why stormtroopers are such bad shots, in that they don't believe in the Empire. None of them really care. They can track you on target practice and they can track if you've shot, but they can't tell if you hit anything, and that's their little rebellion. So even Finn and the stormtroopers were always good people. But that's not what Star Wars is. Like, Star Wars is about the greater good and how things change to become the greater good. And Andor is a really interesting story that looks into how the good guy isn't always a good person. Saw Gerrera is totally insane and has been for a long time. We know this. We saw him in Clone Wars and his start on the path towards complete insanity after Steela died. and how Stila was always his conscience, and without her, he went way off the rails real quick. And by this point, he's not a great person by any reckoning. He helped Jyn Erso and the Erso family, but he did abandon Jyn Erso as well, protecting her, but still abandoning her to prison. He's not a good person in the same way as like Luke Skywalker is. And Luthen Rael, like, he's not really a good guy. He's an excellent spy and he's totally ruthless, but he is not a good person. And I really love how Andor complicates this. Being a good guy does not mean you're always a good person. But we don't really get enough of the other side of that, because being one of the bad guys doesn't mean you're a bad person. It means that you're confused and conflicted and your motivations are very particular. But sometimes people really, really do believe that the Empire is safe. That's why, over the course of all of history, we sell our freedoms for fascism. Like, that is a thing that regularly reoccurs in human history all over the world. And not all of the people who believe in it are completely evil. Like, they're just not. The thing with Cyril Karn is that he really thinks that everyone who behaves and adheres to the rules will be protected under the Empire. He really thinks that the Bureau of Standards actually does good work. And it just doesn't. And I think the point at which he confronts that could have been made into something way more interesting and given us the counterpoint to the Luthen Rael descent into harder and harder choices of who gets to live, who gets to die. Everyone should die because they're a risk to the rebellion, which is the greater good. That's a very straightforward descent that we watch over these seasons. And Cyril Karn could very easily have been the counterpoint to not giving in, not accepting that safety means enough to hurt people. But Cyril Karn, the absolute pinnacle of detailed record keeping and organization and follow the rules make sense and are there for a reason, be the poster child of what takes the infighting of the cells of the rebellion and makes them into a truly united revolutionary oppositional force. Because we don't see that. And that was one of the things I was really looking forward to in Andor season 2. We were going to see the rebellion build itself into what we see in A New Hope. And we just don't. It just kind of magically occurs somehow. And we don't get the building the rebellion story that I really thought this was going to turn into in any way. Because we don't see any pencil pushers at all. There's the soldiers that are fighting and a couple of political figures who step in at certain points. And that's it. We don't see anybody doing the checklists. We hear about them. There's a couple of thrown out references to like the duty officer and you have to make your check-ins and things like that. But who came up with those rules and how? Who is chasing down that paperwork? We see Vel kind of retire into the post, but we don't see any real active recruitment. And it's just, there's a middle layer here that we don't see get recruited at all, but is clearly present because things are getting organized around here, as Vel very much says, as Vic says repeatedly. Things are getting organized, and we don't see that happening at all. There's no moment at which you can see when the paper pushers come in and when like it becomes more than just individual cells united for a cause, but it becomes an organized opposition. And I think Cyril Karn could have done so much more for that. I really do think that connecting the dots using his storyline could have not only made the storyline more fulfilling and more equally balanced, but also have exposed part of the Rebel Cell alliance building that was just like a thing that I thought we should have seen, and it would have been really cool to see more of. But that's going to be it for this video. I will probably be back tomorrow or so with another video relating to all of the questions and the extended universe connectivity that I still have. Because again, I loved Andor. I absolutely adored it. But I have been, as with most Star Wars things, left with a couple of questions. But I think I'll put those in a different video, and I will probably have that up tomorrow. For now, thanks for watching, and let me know what you guys thought about Andor and how Season 2 wrapped up.